let's just face it, self-sabotage plain sucks. And if you're here on this video, you are here because of one of two reasons. One, you're trying to up-level some area in life and you're running into these upper limits and self-sabotage patterns are kicking in, preventing you from having what you want. Or two, you keep repeating the same mistakes over and over and getting yourself into trouble. Maybe you're flying off the handle. Maybe you're shutting down in relationships with people. Maybe you keep making the same mistakes over and over at work and you don't know why, but you know it's self-sabotage. Whatever the case may be, whatever it is, you've identified that you are self-sabotaging and you want that to stop. So you're in luck. Today's video, I'm going to address what it is, why it happens, and give you some tips on how to overcome it. Hey, it's Coach David. Welcome back if you're a subscriber and welcome if you're brand new. I want to tell you about a free success meditation and process that I have for you that you can download beneath this video. It's yours for free. It's going to help create that vision that you can focus on day in, day out to help you get to have the life that you want to have. Grab that free success meditation. All right, so first things first, what is self-sabotage really, other than being a huge pain in your butt at the very least, to causing tremendous pain and suffering in your life and going round and round in circles of pain and suffering? Other than that, which we already know what it is, what is it actually? Why does it happen as well? Well, what self-sabotage is you are hitting the limits of your mental programming, of your subconscious programming. And your system, your brain, your nervous system, your mind is starting to go danger, danger, danger. We need to maintain the system. And if anything that happens that's outside and unknown from what we already know, the programming that's already here, is a danger. So we've got to do everything we can to keep the system intact as it is. That's it. That's why we feel like crap. That's why we lash out in certain behaviors, or maybe we withdraw. Whatever your typical reaction is, it's happening because the system doesn't want new things to happen. It is perceiving threats by you expanding out of your comfort zone, what it sees as danger, even though there's no actual danger there. And so self-sabotage are simply those self-protective behaviors. So here's another way to look at it. Self-sabotage is self-protection. What is it protecting? Well, it's actually just protecting the programming, and the programming thinks it's protecting you. And you know consciously it's not, though, because it's getting in the way of what you want to happen, or it keeps bad behaviors occurring on your end that you don't want consciously. But subconsciously, it's this tug of war, and the subconscious always wins in the end if we don't do things to address it and change that programming, which I'll get to a little bit later in the video. So this is a key distinction already. If we start to see it as self-protection, that your nervous system, your brain, and your programming is trying to do the right thing, it's just very confused because we don't want to get angry towards it. We don't want to get frustrated with it. That's just going to add fuel to the fire. It's going to push back. So we want to be understanding and sort of compassionate to the self-sabotage and to the subconscious, if you will, in these situations when it kicks up, because the more we resist, the more it's going to persist, the more it's going to win. You've probably tried getting upset. You've gotten upset at yourself, at others, whatever, your therapist, whoever, right? Your friend, your mom, your dad, whoever's trying to help you, and ultimately yourself. And you don't want to be frustrated to yourself because that's just going to actually resist it and keep it in place. So what I want to explain to you next is the neurological explanation of why self-sabotage happens, right? We just gave you the kind of subconscious mental programming, why that happens, more psychological. But the neurological one has helped me tremendously. When you understand this, you'll have ammo in the terms of real, legit understanding when self-sabotage is happening to go, okay, this is why it's happening in my brain this way. This is why it's happening, so that you can stand your ground and sort of ride out the storm. This is super key to understand. So I recently learned this actually, and this comes from Lisa Feldman Barrett, who is a neuroscientist. And what she taught me is that there are 4 priorities that your brain has when it comes to dealing with patterns that will help you deal with reality, deal with your life, deal with the world, combat threats, right? Do all these types of things. It has the priorities of 1, avoiding pain, 2, keeping you safe and secure, 3, conserving energy, and 4, seeking pleasure. And pretty much in that order. So that means at the top of the hierarchy is avoiding pain and or keeping you safe and secure. Next is to conserve energy. And then the last priority is to seek pleasure. So herein lies the dilemma. Let's say you are offered a new job, a higher level position, a management position at work. And at first it seems like it could be good, but then there's more responsibility and things that are out of your comfort zone. So then maybe you start to screw up at work a little bit because you know that's on the horizon. Your manager has mentioned it. You start to withdraw a little bit. Some kind of self-sabotaging behavior starts happening with you, for example. And so herein lies the dilemma, right? Consciously, you know that in order to get this position, you've got to keep doing your job well and even probably start doing things better. You're going to have to expand your skill sets. You're going to have to take on more responsibility, but you just can't for some reason. If you consciously try to act in this direction, then there's this subconscious resistance, and then fear kicks in and negative self-talk kicks in. I'm not good enough. I'm an imposter. They're going to find out who I really am. I can't do this. I'm not capable. I'm not worthy, right? All the negative self-talk starts just running a loop in your head, and it makes you feel terrible. And you don't even want the job now, even though maybe originally you did and were excited. And so again, remember the brain's priorities, right? Keep you safe and secure, avoid pain or death, right? Because pain can lead to death. It's usually what a signal is for. Conserve energy. And then at the bottom of the hierarchy, the very last priority is to seek pleasure, which in this case would be towards that promotion, towards more money, towards advancing your career. That's pleasurable overall. But you've got these two things stacked on top of it that the brain prioritizes that are in your way. And frankly, until those are out of the way, it doesn't want to have anything to do with seeking that pleasure, achieving that goal, having that positive outcome. So here's where it gets even more interesting, right? Because most of us, myself, you, my clients, who I'm trying to help change, it's very easy to understand the explanation of, okay, well, safety and survival, it thinks I'm going to be killed or kicked out of the tribe and then I won't live. So that's not really happening here, but it's still tough. Even if I understand that and kind of push through that, that's because the second point of conservation of energy can help you to understand so you can push through until the brain starts resetting itself towards the new pattern of success beyond the pattern of self-sabotage. So what's happening here with this conservation of energy principle that the brain operates on is that the brain constantly is accessing and regenerating actual patterns of what it already knows. So it already knows what to do in your job. It already knows what you want to eat for lunch. It already knows all these things. And it reconstructs those patterns on demand when maybe a choice point is hit, right? Or you're hungry, or there's some task to do in your current job in this example. So the brain has those patterns. But when the brain doesn't have a pattern, it has to access energy, and the brain is the most energy intensive organ in our body. It's like the ratio for how much energy the brain uses over other organs is like astoundingly, heavy towards the brain side of things. So what happens is the brain needs to start pulling juice, but its initiative is to conserve energy. So now we're into unknown territory. You don't know what it's really going to be like in this new job, in this manager position, your responsibilities. The brain doesn't know. So it starts pulling to the old pattern to help to deal with it. But the information you need isn't in the old pattern. It needs to be generated and created and learned. So this is where that real resistance, this is why you can feel tired. This is where the excuses start coming in, because literally the brain is starting to suck more energy. And in order to prevent from taking more energy than it needs, it starts kicking excuses towards you. It starts kicking fear. It'll even make you tired. Thoughts will come up. Well, it's just the way I am. I really can't do this. All these things. Isn't that fascinating? It's so fascinating.
A few moments later.
So now that you know this, you're armed with this information, you can bring it into your awareness that when you're hitting these self-sabotage feelings and thoughts, the fears, right? The behaviors that are slowing you down so that you're not really getting what you want, or it's interfering with your life in a serious way. You can go, okay, right now, my brain is firing a survival pattern. Not only that, it's trying to conserve energy, and I actually need a new pattern in place. So if I be aware of that and act not in opposition to it, let myself know, even like self-soothe, hey, it's going to be okay. Hey, brain, hey, patterns, things are actually okay. We're going to show you a new pattern here. It's going to be okay. And then you're going to feel safer, but we've got a little bit of learning to do here. Because if you resist against your brain, it's just going to push back harder to conserve energy. You're going to lose. You're already losing the battle, right? So bring this into awareness. Awareness is huge. It is the foundational level that I work with for myself and with my clients. Without awareness, we don't have anything. Well, we can still push through and change things, but it's a lot harder. Awareness is like the master key to make things easier. And so once we have this and expand our awareness with a capital A, right, that we really get this is happening, then we can ease up. Then we can ease up on ourselves, our brains, our subconscious, all the negativity, allow the pattern to go, but also be aware of it, which can also help to unravel it, actually, if you really see it for what it is. It's subtle, but really powerful. And so like I already said before, having some self-compassion, going easy on yourself, even self-love. Now you can also use some positive self-talk, like, wait a second, no, I can do this, I can handle this. They're picking me for a reason. They're promoting me for a reason, right? In our example here. So whatever area of life it is, you can sort of get grounded in what I'm telling you here is the explanation, understand what's happening, and then make a few moves of acceptance and allowing. Okay, this is just happening. If I don't resist it, it's going to make it easier. And I'm, with awareness, seeing that this self-protection / self-sabotage mechanism thinks it's doing its best to help me, but it's really not. So if I kind of treat it like a little child that doesn't understand what's going on, I can take steps in the right direction and I can just fix what I'm doing at work, just correct the mistakes, going, wow, I don't have to do this. But a lot of times having some positive self-talk can really help. Doing visualizations towards seeing yourself as that powerful manager or in your next role can help. That free success meditation that I mentioned can help with that as well. There are many, many different tools, but those are some of the core base ones that I use over and over for myself and recommend with clients. There are tons of variations, but it all comes down to being present and aware, doing some towards positive thinking, and not positive and like, yes, I'm so great. Like, no, I can do this. Legit grounded positivity, not Pollyanna like blow sunshine up your butt positivity, which I'm never a fan of. A can do positivity instead of a can't do negativity. Another thing that comes to mind is you can make up a little mantra phrase, right? It's like a shortened affirmation. So whatever that thing is you're going towards, you could say powerful, courageous manager, or it could be something a little more around I'm understanding and compassionate to myself and to my self-protection pattern. Whatever that is that helps you deal with and actually change the pattern. Now, of course, there's the classic feel the fear and do it anyway. Take courageous action. That's always kind of required to some degree. The more you use awareness, maybe you have some positive, soothing self-talk, the more that can diminish that fear. All of it together usually is what's required, right? When I work with a client, we're coming up with as simple as possible strategies, but we're working on something that is going to be a behavior. We're going to work on something that's in language, in the mind. We're going to work on expanding and allowing those emotions, not resisting, because that tends to have people feel better. It tends to reduce the fear and resistance, right? All these things together work. But of course, stepping and taking courageous action gets you moving in the right direction. It just may or may not make it easier to deal with the fear. And once you have shown your nervous system and your brain enough that, hey, it's safe when I take this action and kind of cross over to the other side of this new pattern and now it's getting installed, then the brain will stop fighting and it'll actually start putting the new pattern in place. Remember that last priority of seeking pleasure? Now it's becoming pleasurable for the brain, and now it's just going to spin up and put that new pattern in place even more strongly. And of course, if you're really in the muck and the mire, sometimes this stuff is easier said than done, right? You can apply the techniques because the awareness part and really understanding what's going on while you're in it can be really tough, right? It's been tough for me. I've had to hire coaches and therapists at times. It's why I exist, to help people as well. It can be a good idea to hire somebody for help, but it's possible absolutely that you can do it on your own. It may take a little longer. It may take some time. And so remember, the key is to really deeply understand and be aware with a capital A. And the reason I say that, it's not just an intellectual awareness. It's like a whole embodied experiential awareness. It makes a huge difference. Look, when I first started coaching, I would give techniques left, right, and center. I know so many techniques. I can make up techniques on the spot. That's how much I've coached and done this stuff. But I can tell you for a fact that is never about the technique. Yes, we use techniques to help a client, but I don't have a set of techniques that works for everybody because everyone's different and different things resonate with different people, and different people have different problems and different goals and challenges that they're working on. So that's where the coaching comes in. We have conversations. I listen to what they care about. I listen to what they already know how to do. What they already have is internal and external resources. We leverage that. If I just come in and go, okay, do this affirmation. I am great. I am great. With no matter what problem you come to me with, that wouldn't make me a very good coach. And unfortunately, there are coaches out there that coach like that. Bad news. Don't hire that coach. Okay. But you have to understand, and this is the subtle, real subtle art of transformation and change and overcoming things like self-sabotage, difficult, psychological, neurological things we're dealing with here. When you deeply understand the process, yourself, your brain, your biology, your mind, it makes it 1,000% 90% easier. And you might even find things just changing by you noticing. The more you make it a habit, understand what's going on in your brain while it's happening. Deal with it and don't resist it. Don't fight it. Embrace it. Allow it. See it for what it is, which isn't you. Things just disappear. It's the craziest thing. But again, it's a more subtle level of awareness. If you haven't done a lot of this work, then it might be tough to understand what I'm saying here, and that's okay. Some people can just bang out affirmations and it changes things for them. I'm not one of those people. Yes, do I use affirmations and self-talk and visualization? Sure. But I know for me, especially with a really active intellect, that if I don't understand the process and if I don't get understanding and awareness beyond my intellect into a deeper awareness, let's call it a soul level awareness, I'm not really going to change. I don't know about you. I'm my own toughest case. I'm one of the toughest people I've ever had to coach or self-coach is me. That's why I'm good at coaching people when they have really tough challenges with overthinking, ruminating too much. Social anxiety isn't an easy one to coach because you can't necessarily just have somebody go and expose themselves to social situations and have them feel better. I've had numerous clients come to me that have gone through and they have good social skills and they can put on the show, but they're nervous as hell inside because they're not dealing with the awareness that I'm talking about. This is so key to develop. I hope that's getting through. And by the way, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below of how this is settling in with you, this information on self-sabotage, why it happens, what it really is, how to overcome it, any ideas that you're getting on how to deal with it with yourself, what you're learning here. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And also hit the subscribe and notification bell if you're new and want more of this content. And everyone, please hit the like if you've gotten value out of this. It'll tell the algorithm to, hey, send this out to people that need help with self-sabotage like you right now, because we're all about helping as many people as we can with the change that they're seeking. So remember, what self-sabotage really is your brain, your nervous system trying to protect you from what it sees as a threat that isn't really a threat. Not really, but it's trying to protect. It's trying to conserve energy. And of course, now that you understand this, you can deal with it in a different way. Apply some of the techniques that I have shared. There are many more, right? There are endless techniques. It's not about the technique. It's about building the awareness and understanding so that you don't resist the change and allow those new patterns to form for the new behaviors and the new way of being that you're going to be stepping into so you can have the success that you want. We're at the end of this video. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you. And until next video, Coach David signing off. See ya.